Hello, everyone. Good evening to you all. And thank you all for joining us today for an interesting conversation with the investors. My name is Biodun Njio, and I'll be the host for today's program. And for an interesting conversation with investors. My name is Biodun Njio, and I'll be the host for today's program. And Okay, so hello, Motunde. How are you? Thank you very much for joining in today. Um, it's been a while I did a live session, a live interview, and I enjoy doing this because I'm pretty much very much interested in topics or conversation around money because everybody wants to have money, isn't it? So yeah, I am very much uh, looking forward to this session with the investors. And some of you might not know him, but he's going to do well to introduce himself. And yeah, it promises to be an interesting session for us today. All right, so I believe he's with us now, and I'll be okay. Hello, good evening. Can you hear me
Yeah, good
clearly?
evening. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. How
Okay.
are you?
Yeah, not bad. I'm fine. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. I'm just doing a quick introduction to the audience.
Yeah.
We're just going to jump right in. Okay, my name is Biodun Angel. Um, we're going to be having an interesting conversation with you, obviously, not investor. And the conversation is around money, about investment. And I know these are things that, you've really talked about on your TikTok page for those that are following you. But obviously, we're going to be diving deeper this time. And we're not just going to be scratching the surface. We're going to be diving deeper, asking you questions that hopefully by the virtue of you answering those questions, we're going to be gaining a lot of insight
Mm.
about how to manage our money, avoid scams, and how to maximize our financial potentials, basically. So before we start, I just wanted to do a brief introduction for those that don't know you, so that they can understand what you do and what you're going to be talking about, basically. But just do a brief introduction of yourself.
All right. Thanks for having me. So, by way of introduction, my name is Uthman. So, I'm a nurse. So, currently a charge nurse here in the UK. I love talking about money, and basically that's what I talk about on my online presence, both on Twitter, TikTok. I recently just became active on Instagram as well. So I became active on Instagram this month, last month, basically. So I talk about money a lot, and I love reading about money, listening to money podcast, and anything about money. That's all I like. So that's my way of introduction. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for that introduction. And thank you so much for, you know, coming on this platform
Yeah.
to
Sure.
share your knowledge about finance. I do not take this opportunity for granted. And I sincerely appreciate the fact that you honored this invitation. And hopefully, by the virtue of this conversation, we're going to be learning a lot and hopefully implement some of this information into our personal financial life. All right. So the first question is about multiple streams of income. Uh,
Mm.
I put this as the first question because if you don't make a lot of money, there won't be enough money for you to actually invest. So, what would be your advice to immigrants, healthcare practitioners on streams of incomes that they can have in order to increase their financial incentives, basically.
Mm. So that's quite an interesting question actually, because the more you bring in, the more what's going to be left over for you to be able to put into your savings and investment. So it's quite interesting because, but the first place that income stream starts, it starts from that job security, that first job that you have. So it now depends on how you now tends to spread out your wing to be able to make more money. And in this era that we are, this is the era of side hustle that people mention. You need to have a side hustle to make some money. And there are many ways that people can generate more money apart from their normal job. Take for instance, you are working as a nurse, that's your primary job, and you are making some money from that place. That money might not be enough for you to cater for all your needs, to even be able to put something aside for investment. So, to generate more money, it can start from that job by doing extra hours from that job. That's one. Another way that you can generate more income, if you are investing, say for instance, you are investing in the stock market. In fact, it's the truest passive income. That is true dividend investing. If you invest in some stocks, you'll be getting passive income from them because they are paying you dividends. Dividend simply means that a company is sharing part of their profit with you. Some companies pays dividend on monthly basis. Some company pays their dividend on quarterly basis. Some company pays dividend on just twice per year. So that's number two ways that you can make more money. Another way that people can make more money is through app called Vintage, to sell their old things that they have in their house. Things like their clothing, their shoes, and things like that. So they can sell it from there. Maybe I should change my own to that way as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This is lovely.
Yeah. So another way that people can generate more income is obviously through content creation and having an online presence. I personally, I've been seeing all these things. People are talking about content creation and how people are making money and all sorts. And I personally wasn't giving much attention to it. And then I said, okay, I'm going to be active on social media. So I started last year around May. That was when I opened that TikTok account. So I started sharing my knowledge. So I started sharing my knowledge on online, and through that sharing of the knowledge, I started making money.
Wow.
Some people are scheduling some one-to-one with me to teach them about how they can go about their investment. So if you are passionate about something and you know that you can share knowledge about it, put yourself out there and share information about that thing. People are going to reach out to you and you can monetize it. It's your knowledge. So people can monetize their knowledge. If there's anything at all, it doesn't have to be investing. It doesn't have anything that you are passionate about. Just put yourself out there. You can monetize it. That's one way. Another way that you can do is you can create digital products. Like I am passionate about investing, right? I talk about investment. I talk about savings. I can create digital product about how people can start investing seamlessly, and that can be selling for £9 or whatever, or £10. Trust me, people are going to buy it. As soon as you have an online presence, it's like oil money. On my platform now, I have a link tree. I have some of my link there. Some of the bank I use, that's called affiliate marketing, right? People make a lot of money through that. Don't worry, people are going to click those links. You may be thinking people don't click. People will click those links if you have online presence. So digital product and affiliate marketing is a huge thing. I tried TikTok shop. So when you get to certain amount of followers on TikTok, TikTok is going to add TikTok shop to your thing. And I just put some things in my showcase. And one of the book I normally talk about, The Psychology of Money, I just talk about that book and I put it there that people should buy it. Some people bought it and I got my own commission on it. That's another way people can make money. And people are making huge amount of money on this thing. Another thing, we are talking about content creation now, right? So some last month, I reached 10,000 followers on TikTok. So that means I'm qualified for TikTok creator reward program. So I joined that, and some of my posts went viral in the last few days. Okay. Do you know that in the last 1 week or 2 weeks that I got qualified for that creator reward program. TikTok is already paying me over $100 on those contents. And the good thing about those things is that those content that have started making money, as long as people are still watching it next year, they will still continue to make money. I don't have to create another one. Those one will still be making money for me. So that's the good thing about this thing. And in fact, I've not even just come out to say, to talk about how people, if they are passionate about anything, they should just start talking about it. Like, obviously I don't go to school for any investment, but I'm passionate about the topic and I've been doing it. I've read a lot about it, and I just talk about my experience, nothing more. I don't know anything about video editing. All I do is just use my phone to video myself, go to CapCut. The only thing I use in CapCut is cut and add caption. That's the only thing I know. And it's generating money for me through one-to-one. Through one-to-one meeting I've had with people, I've made over £1,000 on just on TikTok. And I've just started creating on Instagram now. My Instagram just got to 2K today because I just started last month to become active there. Some people have scheduled one-to-one with me from Instagram as well now. So there are different ways that people can make money. It's just that the easiest one that you don't even need any money to start fall under all this digital creation. You don't need any money to start them. All you need is your phone. And most of us in the UK or wherever we are using good phone that can make videos now. So if you now use all these things, now imagine I'm making money from my own self, from my job. I'm married. That's another side, that's another source of income. So I'm married, and my household is a double income household, right?
Yeah.
Before my wife started working, I'm the only one working. And I'm able to save, let's say I'm able to save hypothetically £700 in a month. The moment it started working, that's triple what we are able to save as a family. So
I
you're
think
getting all this. Yeah.
I understand what you're trying to say there.
So if you are on the same page with your partner, it's a source of income for you. So those are the ways that you can generate multiple incomes. And at the end of the day, you tend to see that you have more money as well to put aside for emergency savings and for investment. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, that's quite motivating for those that are interested in, pushing their content out there. Hopefully they'll be able to, earn some streams of income. All right, let's move on to the next question. What are the lessons that you have learned from some of the financial mistakes that you've made? Obviously, on the course of your journey on becoming who you are, to talk about finances, you
Mm.
have actually made some errors. What are the major errors that you have made, and what are the lessons you have learned from them?
I've made so many mistakes. I've made so many mistakes, especially in the first year. Back in 2021, that's when I started investing. So I didn't know anything about investing, and I started with crypto with no knowledge. I just went on Twitter and I saw some guys posting about the coin. The coin is Luna. Maybe some people here invested in
Yeah,
it as well. So at the point I invested in Luna, it was selling for like $70 or $60 a share. It went over $100. So the journey was good. I'm happy that I'm making money. And then it just started crashing down. I have no knowledge about it. It went from over $100, went to 100, 80, 60. I still didn't sell. It's going to come up again. That's what that's what I'm reading on Twitter. And personally, I don't know anything about it. It came to 50, 40, 30, $20, 10, $5.
wow,
That coin is selling below $1 now.
wow.
I thankfully to learn this lesson, I didn't have to, I mean, at that point as well, I only just recently moved to the UK. So I don't really have much money. So I didn't really have a lot of money to invest
To
in it.
invest
But
in coin, yeah,
because if I had a lot of money, then I would have put it there. And that would have been the discussion we'll be having today would have been more
different.
sad, more
Yeah,
painful. So
yeah.
I invested, I think, about 200 to £250 then, and I lost it. I think what I got out of it should be just like £50 or something.
No.
So I lost the money. So the lesson here is that anything you don't understand, if you don't understand it, you don't understand it, don't invest in it.
Mm.
Whether it's stocks, whether it's crypto, whether it's anything, you don't understand it, you can't explain it to a 5-year-old. Just stay away from it. That's the first lesson
So
that I
basically,
want people
the
to pick.
investment that you have a basic understanding about it. Basically, I think
Yeah,
that's the lesson here. Like you don't just dabble into stuff that you don't have a basic understanding about. So it's very important that you do your research, learn about what you're putting your money into before you start investing.
exactly. So you don't understand it. Like if I can't say, oh, Abiodun, I'm investing in this particular stock. This is the product that this stock is producing. Uh, just to explain to you like a 5-year-old, and you get what the company is doing, then don't put your money there. So that's one. The second lesson I've learned at the beginning of my journey, obviously I've read books and they recommended that, oh, invest in index fund, invest in ETFs and all sorts. I read it in book, but when I got into the market myself, there is difference in reading and really using your money
Yeah,
to invest.
there's a difference between the theory and the practical aspect
There
of
are
it.
so many difference.
Yes.
It was easy to read that this is what you should do. But when I got there myself, I saw some stocks like Tesla and I started buying Tesla and Coinbase. Those are the two stocks I was buying at the beginning of my journey. Even though I've read that you should invest in S&P 500 or index fund, though, but
Yeah, those
I
are
didn't
good.
put my money there
Yeah.
because that one was not moving. So I put my money. I was buying Tesla. I was buying Coinbase. They will move up, and I was like, "Oh, I thought I was smart." So when they move up with just my 200 pounds, I will sell. Like they
Ah.
move up like 10, they move up like 10 pounds. So I will sell it. Like I've made 10 pounds. In fact, I will be happy that I made money. But you know what? Anytime I sell like this, it will keep on going up again. And the moment I buy again, it will be coming down. And then that was when I now realized that okay, I need to know much about this thing. And I started making research. Like in the last 3 years now, I don't think a day will pass that I don't listen to a podcast or anything about finance.
Mm.
So I started that. YouTube is a great resource. I started listening to YouTube. I started reading books. If I show you my bookshelf, all the finance book that you can think of are there. So I started reading. I started doing all those stuff. So one thing I learned that I pick from all my reading, because the thing is, if you are reading and you can't contextualize what you are reading and summarize it in your own word, like this is what I can, because all the books that they've written, whether it's 200 pages, whether it's 500 pages, it has a gist in it that the author is trying to pass. If
Yeah.
you haven't gotten the gist in a book, then you are not yet there to understand that book.
Yeah.
So the gist I got from most of the financial book is that you cannot predict the stock market or time it. So the moment I understand that you should invest and keep it for the longest amount of time, as long as the fundamental of the particular company that you invest in is still intact. I cracked the code.
Mm.
And thankfully it wasn't so long. So I bought some stocks. Like I bought Coinbase. I bought it around $52 a share.
Mm.
And that was around 20 before I understood everything well, was around that beginning of 2022 financial year in the UK. At
Mm.
that point, I was already ready about the market. And at those point as well, I now have more money to invest. So I bought Coinbase shares, and the mindset at that point is that I'm going to buy 15 shares of this company, and I
Okay.
don't care whatever happens, I won't sell it.
Mm.
So I bought the 15 share, and the same mindset was for other companies that I bought.
Mm.
And last year, stroke this year, after the US election,
Yeah.
that $52 share went up to over $300 per share.
Woo!
It went up to over $300 per share. The
Wow.
same thing happened with my Tesla stock. I was buying Tesla when it was below 200. After the US election, Tesla went to 480.
Wow.
And when I say I'm buying, it's not like I'm buying $1,000, £1,000 worth. Though. Like at those points, I have like over 40 shares of Tesla. So
Wow.
it went up like that. Coinbase went up like that. So the point I'm trying to pass is that people should invest for the longest amount of time and don't try to time the market. I tried it initially and I was losing. But the moment I changed the mindset that I'm not going to time it, as long as the company is quality, I'm going to let it run. Those companies, they run wide
Mm,
and you make your money. The
mm,
same thing happens to all the companies in my portfolio. The one I've had for the longest amount of time are the one I'm making a lot of money on. So that's the number two lesson I learned. Another
mm.
lesson I learned is that you should always have an emergency fund. So when I said around 2022 financial year, I now understood everything about the market, right?
Yes.
But with that, the sale of understanding it, I was now putting all my money. I was putting a lot of money in the market. Like as I'm getting the salary like this, is going into the stock market. And I
Wow.
don't really have anything like you will see my bank account. I'm broke,
Mm,
but my investment is rich.
mm,
Now, something happened that I needed money for around that time.
mm.
I had to go into the investment
And sell some of your
and
stuff.
sell some to get money out.
Oh.
So this is a huge mistake
Mm,
because this is a point I don't want to sell my investment.
mm,
So if you don't have an emergency fund sitting somewhere for when emergency is going to happen, that is what's going to happen to you. You have to sell your investment at the time that you don't want to. Because you can't predict whether at the time that emergency is going to happen to you, the market is going to be up. The market might just be down when you need the money. And you don't have anything to rest on, so you have to sell it.
mm.
So those are some of the crucial mistakes I can point out now. If I still remember along the discussion, I will still mention them. But those are the most important mistakes anyway.
Thank you so much for sharing that insight. When it comes to stock picking, how were you able to actually develop your knowledge to a point where you're able to start picking stock yourself, reading the fundamental analysis or a little bit of the technical analysis? How did you get yourself to a level where you're comfortable and convenient, like you have that confidence in yourself,
Mm.
start picking stock? How did you come about that?
So the basic thing, it started from Benjamin Graham's book, The Intelligent Investor. When you open the page of that Intelligent Investor, probably in the chapter one, I think probably in the second page of chapter one, it stated the foundation of investing. That's the foundation of everything about picking a stock because Benjamin Graham is credited for value investing. So one of the things that he stated is that view a stock as a business. Don't forget about the share price.
Mm,
What you are looking after is the business. A stock is a business. If you now look at the business and you see that this business is it a business I'm interested in? If it's a business you are interested in, that's the first step. And then you now move on to checking their finances. The first thing you want to look at their finances is the revenue. Is the revenue actually growing year on year? And what percentages? I usually want to look out for like double percentage, like 10%. What's their cash flow? You have some companies, they have debt, they have cash flow. Some of the company, they can just do like this, and they are going to pay off all their debts. Meanwhile, some company can't do that. So I want good cash flow. And what is the profit? Are they profitable yet? So I want to look at all those things. And there are many places that you can check out this. These informations are not secret. You can go to stockanalysis.com. You will see it there. You will see everything you need. What is the price to earning ratio of a company? For me, the price to earning ratio I'm looking for is something below 30. If the price to earning ratio of a company is below 30, then I'll be interested in that company. It's
Hmm.
after you now check all these things that the share price now come into play. What's the share price saying?
I feel like that's going to be another entire master class if you want to actually delve into teaching us how to select stocks and do the
Yeah,
whole.
so and even for most beginner investor anyway, they should not actually be selecting stocks. They should just focus on investing in index fund or ETF, because most retail investor would do better investing in ETF and index fund than
But that was not the
picking
strategy
stocks.
you used in your own financial journey. You were
Say that
buying
again.
that was not the strategy you used. You were buying Tesla at a cheaper value. You're buying Coinbase at a cheaper value for your own financial journey. So
Mm.
I mean that is debatable, but we're not going to go into that. All right, you mentioned something about crypto, and recently in the news, Bybit was hacked for 1.5 billion US dollars. And a lot of the time, when you look at the scams that goes on in the financial world, you obviously see that it happens in the crypto market. A lot of
Mm.
friends and close people that I know that have been scammed, majority of them are scammed in either crypto or forex, right? What is your take about investing in Bitcoin, basically? And for beginner investors, is this something that you recommend beginner investors to invest in?
Okay. So to be clear, I believe that the crypto industry is here to stay. So that's the first statement I need to make.
Okay.
Now, out of all the thousands of coins, many of those coins are not going to survive.
Hmm.
Bitcoin and Ethereum, I believe, are going to survive because they are the biggest with market capitalization, and Bitcoin is actually the foundation. So, but people need to understand something. The crypto industry is still relatively new. Other investment assets, gold, stocks, you can trace them back 100 years.
Okay.
Crypto only started 2009. So it's relatively new. That's one thing people need to know. It's a highly volatile environment. So when you are talking about high risk investment, crypto is on another level
Hmm.
on high risk investment. And people need to understand that this industry is unregulated. In fact, that's the premise. Decentralization
Yeah.
is the whole point. Decentralization is the whole point. So people need to know that it's unregulated. If you are trying to send a coin from one exchange to another and you use a different address, that, like, when you want to send a coin to another coin, you can use either Ethereum, you can use Solana, you can use Optimus, and all. If you are meant to use Solana and you use Optimus, your money is gone and there's nothing you can do about it. If something happened to the stocks, at least you can complain and send message to customer care, right? That doesn't happen in crypto. It's an unregulated environment.
Mm.
So people need to understand all these basics. In fact, in the some of the exchanges are actually doing their best to make sure that people understand these things. When
Yeah,
you want to register with Coinbase, they will ask you to answer some questions before you register.
absolutely. Yeah.
And those questions will let you know that you really understand that crypto is unregulated, that you
Mm.
can lose your money. And they even went further and they say you have to wait 24 hours for you to digest everything, that you really understand what you are about to start before you start putting your money there.
But is this something that you recommend for a beginner investor? Because a lot of the time, what beginner investors are interested in is where can I put my money in
Hmm.
and get the highest return? And crypto, honestly, seems to be like an avenue where you can achieve that overnight. You can be a millionaire overnight. So, would
So,
you recommend it for a beginner investor?
for me, the same approach that I used to approach any investment is the same approach I'll tell a beginner to approach crypto with a long-term mindset. I invest in Bitcoin and Ethereum myself. So, and I started investing in it in 2021 at the highest level. At those times, I was buying Luna, I was buying Bitcoin and Ethereum as well. When they were like around that time, it was $61,000, and it dipped to $20,000. I was still buying it. As a matter of fact, I started a challenge on Twitter around that 2023 December. I started a challenge that we are going to be buying £10 worth of Bitcoin and Ethereum every week. And we did that from 2023 to the end of 2024. We were buying it. And with that long-term mindset, I was losing from 61,000, right?
Yeah.
But
When
when
it
it came to
comes,
20,000, I was still buying.
yeah.
And now my crypto account is up over 100%. So if you approach it with long-term mindset, that you know that the money that you are investing in this thing is not something you need in like the next 5 years, then you won't really care about all the volatility. And obviously, you should have done your research and know what you are investing in before you start putting your money there. So if you are a beginner that is interested in crypto industry and you believe in it and understand it, please do invest in it.
Okay. Let's
Yeah.
talk about, yeah, let's quickly jump to the next question because we're running out of time. Let's talk about relocation and its financial impact. You are going to agree with me that when it comes to your earning potential is much more in countries like the US, the in countries like US, Canada, and Australia. And you can obviously see that a lot of immigrants are migrating to Australia, Canada, and US. Why is it that when it comes to your advocacy journey, towards you achieving financial freedom, there is no advocacy towards migrating to countries where you can potentially earn more money? What is your take about this?
So there are many ways that we can look at it. I quite agree with you that there is high earning potential in those countries. But here's the thing. There are many reasons why people migrate, right? And it's just not on monetary, just on the money aspect. Many things contribute to it.
Yeah.
For me personally, obviously I moved from Nigeria to here, and my financial status has gone from like 0 to 100. And the same thing is going to happen if I move from like places like the UK to the US. It's going to move up. But there are many things that contribute to it. You are talking about things like family, things about religion, and things like that. For me personally, places like Canada, US, or another Western country is not on my agenda now. If I'm going to do any relocation, it's likely going to be to the Middle East. So, and that's for family reason and some of other and some like religious things and all. So those are some of the reasons why the reason why I've not advocated for such. I always like to advocate for things I've practiced and I've seen the impact myself. So, but all my friends that have moved from the UK to the US have no regrets of doing that transition, and they have been doing more well than in the UK. So,
But
if anyone wants to move, it's a good potential because yeah.
yeah, so I'll clearly agree that you're saying that that's one of the strategies that you can actually use to earn more money and potentially invest those money in
Yeah.
choosing investment strategies. So somebody just asked in the comment section that can you talk about the income from content creation and the taxes, particularly those incomes that you earn, and how you're able to regulate, how you're able to go about the taxes for those income, because that is something that a lot of people are not clear about. How have you been able to work around the taxes that you earn from other streams of income, specifically in content creation?
So for me personally, obviously I just started earning from content creation. So I just started earning from content creation. I've not really earned huge amount. But when you are, if you have HMRSC app, they actually just launch like content creation kind of assessment thing. We do self-assessment if you want to file your tax. So they just started campaigning for that. I think they now realize that many people are making money from content creation. They just started like campaign, like you just see that thing popping up on your HMRC app. Like if you are earning from content creation, fill this form and things like that. But the best thing that people can do to go around this thing is to actually seek opinion of an accountant.
Okay.
So they will be able to help them manage it well.
Okay.
Because they will be able to tell you whether you should actually register as an individual or you should register as a limited company.
Okay.
So because if you register as a limited company, it has its own tax advantages. If you register as an individual, it's another thing entirely. So seeking an advice of an accountant, you don't have to hire an accountant. All you need to do is book like a one-to-one with an accountant. Pay them that instant money so that you won't be paying more. And then they will guide you and put you through everything you need. That's the best way I think they can go about it.
Okay. Thank you for that. Also, they asked question around Pi cryptocurrency. I don't know if you know about this cryptocurrency called Pi.
I know
What?
about it, but I personally don't invest in any memes coin at all. And
Same as me.
I don't recommend any beginner to invest in meme coin.
Yeah.
We
Any
have a
of
lot
us
of stories.
just keep it.
Look at Trump coin. It went when they launched it, it went to $75. That
Yeah.
coin is sitting around somewhere below
$80.
$20. So meme coin, I personally don't invest in it at all.
Yeah.
I don't FOMO. I don't care about what. In fact, I don't know. If you know one of my friend on Twitter. His name is Finn. We had a lot of back and forth about meme coin. I don't. All I do is Bitcoin and Ethereum. Any other coin, I don't.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Let's quickly move on to the next question. Minimizing expenses for financial freedom. A lot of the time, when it comes to financial freedom or when it comes to conversation around managing your money, a lot of people actually talk about how to minimize your expenses. This is something that personally I do not agree with because you cannot minimize your expenses to financial freedom. You can actually work your way to financial freedom through increasing your earning potential rather than minimizing your expenses. But what is your take about, you know, cutting expenses
Mm.
on your journey
Okay,
to financial
I
freedom?
have my I have my take. So when we talk about financial independence, it means different things to different people. But just to answer your question directly, both minimizing expenses and increasing your earning potential actually contribute to you achieving financial freedom. And I will break it down. First, when we talk about minimizing expenses, how do, are we talking about minimizing expenses by telling people to live below their means, or we are telling people to cut out some things that they enjoy in life? So even if you want to achieve financial independence, you should still enjoy the journey. What the way I look at it, the way personally I look at it is that if you live below your means, take for instance, if you are living in an expensive city and you decided to move from that expensive city to a less expensive city, obviously you'll be able to save more and increase what you invest. That's one way to look at it. But if we are saying, because this is where you know about FIRE community, right?
Yes.
Financial Independent Retirement Early Community. What they advocate more is about cutting down expenses and living a minimalist life. I don't agree with that as well. I
Mm.
believe that you should still enjoy the journey. In the journey to financial freedom, you should not deprive yourself of some things. But here are the things. Take, for instance, things like delayed gratification. Like if you are just building your foundation, take for instance, like when I first moved to the UK, as a family, we didn't travel in the first 2 years, I believe. And that is just to build our solid financial foundation.
Yes.
So we built our financial foundation in that time, and now we can travel anywhere that we want, and it won't have any effect on our finances. So I believe it work hand in hand. Now, I made a post some days ago, like it's not about cutting expenses. Majority of people are not able to save and invest more because they are not earning enough. So majority of people actually need to earn more. That is where they will be able to save more and invest more. And that will lead them to achieve their financial independence earlier than
Yeah.
they expected. So people just need to, sometimes people need to upskill and find a way to make more money. But it works hand in hand. You
Mm.
can't be saying that you want to achieve financial independence early as well and be living a extravagant life. So I believe both work hand in hand. That's my opinion on that.
All right, and that leads me to the next questions about good financial habits. What are the daily or monthly habits that somebody that is actually looking to, improve their finances? What are the habits that these people need to incorporate? And these habits need to be a regular occurrence. For example, for me, one of the habits I do is every month I look at my bank statement and I look at my expenses for the month. It's something that I do every once I see my bank statement, I dedicate few hours to read the bank statement. How did I spend my money? It's a reflection of my money habits. Did I make some heavy expenses? Was that expenses needed? You know, and since I've been doing this for a long time now, I have actually seen that positive changes in the way I spend money because I know by the end of the month I'll give an account of this. But for you, what are the financial habits that you would encourage people to incorporate?
So I have some routine that I do. I call them payday routine. Like every payday, that's the first thing I do. And what you are doing is one of the things I do, and it's called tracking my expenses. So I track my expenses.
Mm,
My credit card, I pull them out. My debit card, although my debit card, there's really nothing much going on in my debit card. The only thing going on in my current account is sending the money out to investment and other accounts. Most of my daily expenses are spent on credit card. So that's where I pull out. I pull out the statement, go through it, track the expenses and see how far and what have I made, how much is actually coming in. You don't need an expensive Excel sheet or any fancy budgeting thing to be able to do this. It's easy. Just check out through your bank statement. And you know what this will do? This will also help people in budgeting their money because you people will just find it so interesting when they try to go through their bank statement and see some ridiculous thing that they spend money on.
yeah, I mean, trust me. I see. Sometimes I'm like, what, am I the one that spent this money? Like,
Yeah,
what was I doing when I was making this decision to spend this amount of money on this thing?
yeah.
Especially
If people can, if
outside,
people can take time to
yeah,
just go through their statements,
with
they
their
will see
bank
some
statement.
ridiculous things that they spend money on, and even some subscription that you paid for that you are not meant to pay for.
Yeah, yeah.
So you'll be able to see that when you track the expenses. That's the first thing I do. The second thing I do that is a must. In the last 3 years, I don't think a month has passed that I don't invest money in the stock market.
Mm,
I don't think a month has passed. I don't care how small it's going to be. I must invest something.
mm.
That has never,
We're still going to talk. We're still going to be more practical
yeah.
about how one can actually invest their money. I know you have talked a lot about this in your TikTok page. And for those that are joining us, you need to follow Nos Investor on his TikTok page. There's a lot of valuable information there. And we're just going to do like a practical section. But I think you've exhausted your point regarding habits that people need to do monthly. I know there are some other informations that you can add or other tips. But because of time, we'll just jump into the next question, which I think is very important. Let's talk about scammers, right? Even though we have escaped the shores of Africa and we are now in a developed nation where the legal and the criminal gangs and the legal aspect or legal sector are very strong, people still fall victim of scams. I've been scammed in the UK, although not much money, and I know people around me that have been scammed. Some people have been scammed that they didn't even tell me, but by the virtue of those interactions, you know that they have been a victim of scam. I've been scammed in the UK, I've been scammed in Nigeria. So it's like something that it will never end. And also you yourself, you'll come on your page to say people have been creating and replicating your pages to use to scam others. How do we break this cycle of scamming? Like, how do I not become a victim of scammers? Like, it's exhausting, and it's sad when you start breaking. But
So,
I want you to weigh on this.
so the first thing that we need to do to be able to break that cycle of scamming is people need to educate themselves about personal finances.
Education.
Education is the first thing. If you are educated about finance, you will identify a BS from front like this.
Hmm.
If anyone comes to you and said, invest £250 and you are going to make 2,500 in a week, that's impossible. What sort of investment are they going to do for you to make that amount of money? I mean, yes, people can make those from like meme coins. We've seen it, but before all those meme coins come to the main media, it's gone already. So if anyone comes to you and they are proposing something like invest and make that kind of amount of money in a week, some of the messages that I posted about that scamming on my page, some
Yeah.
of the messages people send to me, people that have been scammed, are something that are just ridiculous. How can somebody message you and said they are going to invest in Bitcoin for you, and if you invest 1,000 in a week, you are going to make 7,000, and you follow that person? And what they now do is that they will give them their WhatsApp number and they will send them some link to transfer some money, like a crypto wallet, to transfer some money there. And people are expecting to make that amount of money. If I'm making that amount of money, I'm not going to be doing NHS job. But the point I'm trying to make is that if
Yeah.
people are educated about finances, they will be able to recognize all these things from afar
Yeah.
and they won't fall for the victim.
Yeah. So people should get education. How
Yes,
do people educate themselves about personal finance? Obviously, by joining this program or joining this interview. But outside of this interview, how can you educate yourself about personal finance?
there are so many books about personal. I think this generation is the luckiest generation ever.
Hmm.
I said that because there are so many books that have been written about this topic. I can recommend some. You can read The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel,
Yeah.
Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins, Rich Dad Poor Dad, as simple as it is, it gives you the foundation. The Richest Man in Babylon gives you a strong foundation. And if you read The Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins, those books give you the foundation that you need about personal finance. And whenever anyone is talking about anything that you think is unrealistic, you are going to know that this person is saying BS. And you see those people pushing as well. Somebody reached out to me and said that person was even chatting them like 1 a.m. And I was like, is it now that I like you so much that I want you to make that amount of money and I'll be chatting with you? I'll be the one pushing you to put your money in that kind of investment.
Maybe it's one of your one-on-one program. They might think.
Even if I do one on one, it's scheduled and we just do it and that's it. So now that's one. Now we have podcasts. There are so many podcasts. Like the Diary of CEO is one of the best podcasts. It encompasses everything. Two interviews I would recommend for you to watch on Diary of CEO. He did one with Morgan Housel, the author of The Psychology of Money, and he did one with Ramit Sethi. He did one with what's this guy name? The guy's channel is Minority Mindset. Those three interviews, if you watch it, your knowledge of personal finance will never remain the same.
Hmm.
Lewis House, the School of Greatness, is a good podcast to listen to about topic about personal finance. And there are so many podcasts.
Yeah, even the way you're speaking, it's evidence that you've actually equipped yourself with the financial knowledge that you need to be able to even speak about finance the way you speak about it, because you speak about it so confident that it's worthy of emulation. Thank you for those points. So now
Yeah.
let's move on to black tax, right? Obviously, as black Africans immigrants in the developed nation, we have networks back home. You have, I have, right? And sometimes this can be very draining when you're sending money back home. And this has actually brought about me asking this question, that how do you manage that? Because we talked earlier about cutting finances, isn't it? Now, if you're saying you want to manage and cut your finances, it might affect those people back home when you're trying to cut their finances as well. What do you think, or how do you think we can manage those things that on this journey, on our way to financial freedom that we want to enjoy, we're able to manage black tax and people back home are not, you know, choking us with expenses and finances because you understand what is happening in Nigeria or in
Mm.
Africa?
It's three things. The first thing is managing expectation. Immediately I came to the UK, my own parents, I made them understand this is what's on ground. In this country, we earn money, but most of the money are going through the bills. They understand that on the spot. And the one other thing that I did is that as soon as I came, you don't, when you receive your first salary, it feels like, especially for someone that's not earning much in Nigeria, it feels like you are earning a lot of money when you come here. And now
Yeah.
you start with sending like 500,000 naira home. Meanwhile, your whole salary is just like 2,005 or something. And you've already started with 500,000 for them. What do you expect them to be expecting in the following month?
If not that same amount, something more.
Exactly. You don't expect them to go from 500K to 2,000 to 50K. So people need to manage that expectation. If you are able to manage that expectation, what I did is I set a realistic expectation. What I think I can manage. It's like putting your parents on salary. I have four sisters. All of them are on salary.
Yeah.
And that's what I think I can maintain. So if you manage that expectation, you have succeed. Now, the second thing I do is that when I look at all my money, I look at it and I was like, how much can I comfortably put aside in my budget and it won't affect my own investment? I have a budget of the amount I send to Nigeria. Hypothetically, say like 300 pounds. I know that that 300 pounds is what I'm going to convert to Nigeria. And once I convert that 300 pounds, obviously I've calculated it. I know that the salary I put my immediate family on is going to be enough for them. And there will be a little for any outside help. For me, I made my parents understand that at this point of my life, I only came to this country not even up to 5 years. I can't help any outsider now. What I'm making is just enough for us. So they understand that, and that budget is there. So if you have done that, the third thing that you need to do now is to be able to say no. When people reach out to you, there is a pattern. If they reach out to you, I've exhausted my budget, and what they are reaching out to you doesn't look like an emergency. It's not like they are dying. If it's not an emergency, just tell them, I have a lot of project going on that I'm doing now. And with those projects, I've exhausted all my expenses. I'm really sorry. I wish I can help you, but I can't at the moment. Send it. That's it. If you're able to do these three things, you'll be able to manage your black tax well.
Thank you very much for those points. Number one, manage your expectation. Number two is, set your family up on budget. And number three is the ability to say no. So those are key points that you have highlighted in answering that question. So we'll jump into being practical now. So if I have £1,000 and I want to invest it as a beginner investor, how do you think I should invest it and what are the allocations?
So if you want to start investing as a beginner, obviously, I'm going to assume that this is for UK.
Yes, yes.
So if you are a beginner, you want to invest, you have £1,000 to invest. So the first thing, assumption that you understand how the stock market works. So let's assume that you understand how the stock market works. So if you have understood how the stock market works and you know that your capital is at risk, which means your money can go up and down. But yeah, so now how to invest it is that you find the regulated brokers. There are so many of them in the UK. It can be Vanguard, it can be Trading 212, it can be Invest Engine. Open one of them. Like I said, regulated brokers. They have to be regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority and the Financial Services Compensation Scheme. Those are the regulators that regulate banks as well, so that you know that your money is safe. So if you now find a regulated broker, take for instance, I use Trading 212. Let's say you go with Trading 212. You have opened your account and you are verified. Now, what do you invest in? As a beginner, what you should invest in and what I encourage people to invest in, based on my opinion, is that at that beginning stage, you have no business with individual stocks. Your foundation of investment should be in a fund. My own preferred fund are funds that are globally diversified. Take for instance, like the Vanguard All World ETF and other ones. If you invest in those funds, you know that you are well diversified. And whatever is happening to the market, the way it's going to eat individual stocks is different from the way it's going to eat funds that are globally diversified. And you are not just in a region, you are across the
It
world.
sounds like you're not tilting towards S&P 500, which I would ordinarily expect you to say that, oh yeah, invest in S&P 500. But I get what you mean. Obviously, investing in the region has its own attached risk.
I
So
mean, if you look at it, the S&P 500 has actually outperformed the all world
global,
ETF. If
yes.
you look at it, but we are talking about long-term investing here, right? If you scroll back to the early 2000, you will see that Japan is beating the US. Now the US is the world dominant. So personally, I don't want all my investment to be just in the US. So, but at the same time, I'm not going to put all the 1,000 pounds in the all world ETF. It will actually be split in between the two, because you know that the S&P is dominating now. So why ditching it? So build your foundation on these funds. Start putting something in it on monthly basis. And as a retail investor, you are going to do well with it. And if you do that, as time goes on, the moment you start putting your money, you get obsessed with the markets and you start reading about it. The more you know, then you can now start showing some interest. If you still wish to invest in individual stocks, and then you can now start putting money in individual stock that you like and you have researched. But your foundation is still in fund. So even if anything happened to the market, look at what just happened. Say you have invested in Tesla when it's selling for 400, and Tesla is now below 300. Your S&P 500 will not drop 50% in one day.
Hmm.
Individual stock can drop 50% in one day.
Yeah.
So to have that balance in your portfolio, make fund your foundation.
Thank you very much. All right, so let's talk about credit card, and then we'll call it a day. You did mention that you have some credit card that you do regular budgeting on and all that. There are some people that are still struggling with the idea of or the knowledge of credit cards. What are you going to say in terms of using credit cards and achieving financial freedom? Where does that connection comes in?
So it's everything is connected. The country that we are living, all the Western countries mostly, they are credit-based society. So no matter the wealth that you are building as well, you still want a good credit score, right? And one of the way to have good credit score is to use credit card.
Which
I
is
mean,
to give a credit history.
you can have good credit score without credit card, but to have a good credit score faster is through credit card, because one of the highest thing that they measure in credit rating is credit card utilization, and even the credit card limits, they are high. So now, for me now, I have like over 20,000 pounds in limits, and I use Amex basically. So if you are aiming towards your financial freedom as well, aim you can use credit card
Hmm.
to build your credit score. But this is my point with credit card. People need to be careful in using credit card,
Yeah.
because if you are not financially disciplined,
Yeah.
don't move towards it. I mentioned something that I have 20,000 pounds in limit, right? There is a feeling that comes with it. You just know that there's nothing I want to swipe my account for and I won't be able to afford.
Hmm.
And even some things that you are not able to afford on ordinary day, you just swipe your card for it. So if you know
So
that
that
you
is
don't have the
tempting in
discipline,
itself.
yeah, you don't have the discipline, get a credit card with a small limit and just use it for your day-to-day groceries, pay for your boss, and make sure that you don't spend more than 25% of it. And you'll be able to build your credit score like that.
And you
Yeah.
did mention Amex, but
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, I use Amex to get points for people that need that. Amex have different offers. So the one I use mainly is the BA one that I get avios point. In fact, I got my companion voucher now. So I need to travel with my madam. Yeah.
Big congratulations on that. Yeah, thank you so much for this knowledge and insight that you have shared. Just leave us with your parting words. What is that one thing that you think anybody that have joined this interview will want to take home? I want you to make it 2 points. 1 point to have in mind. The second point should be something that they can do, practical stuff.
So 1 point to have in mind: educate yourself about personal finances. So make sure that you seek education. I don't care how you want to do it, whether through books or through podcast. Do it. Just seek knowledge about it and seek knowledge about how taxes and credit system works in this country. That's one thing. The second thing that I want you to practice is you need to start investing now. The best time you should have started was yesterday, but the second best time is today after this program. So start investing, and your future self is going to thank you.
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Nelson. I really appreciate it. Before you go, there's something that I usually do when I do programs like this, right? And it's a pick one session. So how it plays is just like a mini game, right? How it plays is that I'll tell you two things. You must pick one. So for example, I can say pen or pencil, and then
No,
you say
okay.
go for pencil, right? You don't need to tell us the rationale or why you're choosing it. So are you ready
Okay.
for this one?
Let's go.
All right. Number one is individual stocks or mutual funds.
Individual stocks, no mutual fund.
Ogbologbo. Crypto or stocks.
Stocks,
Electric car or petrol car.
electric.
I'm curious. I'm tempted to say, do you drive electric car?
No.
I know why, because you invested in Tesla. You have shares in Tesla. UK or US?
UK,
US or Canada?
US.
Oh, nice. TikTok or Instagram?
It's difficult.
TikTok. You should be TikTok. Oh, please. It should be TikTok. Oh,
TikTok is having a lot of scammers on their app now. They are making me to love Instagram more.
yeah. I
So
mean, if
that's the.
Instagram, they still do stuff. People can still
But
like wait.
my growth has been a lot on TikTok. So TikTok,
I'll go for TikTok, really. Netflix or YouTube?
YouTube.
Do you don't watch Netflix?
I watch Netflix a lot, but I learn a lot from YouTube.
Oh.
Netflix is for entertainment.
Night shift or day shift?
Night.
Night shift? Oh my God. I don't like night shift at all. Clinical or management?
Management.
Oh, nice. That's where the money is, isn't it?
I mean, I only work in clinical for like 10 months in the UK. So I became a band 6 after 10 months also, yeah. So management.
Interesting. Brand new or UK use?
Brand new.
Brand new, Shasha. And that's all. Thank you so much, Nurse Investor, for this
You're
session.
welcome. Yeah.
I really appreciate it. And thank you for everyone that joined in. And hopefully, by the virtue of those that are going to rewatch, they are going to also learn from this. So, yeah, I'll talk to you behind the
No problem. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.